It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
Captain Skinner, but Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Gonna be held tight, well now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT.
Heat of the night on TNT.
Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have 'em some fun, 'cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight, come on up in the ring. You wanna be held tight, just about anything can happen in the heat of the night on TNT.
Hubba, 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 hubba. Heat of the night on TNT.
Yeah.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody clapping out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
Hey, welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. It's Big Wednesday. I'm old Alan Autry, as usual. Honored and humbled to have you with us today. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. As they say, when you give your money, just give money. But when you give of your time, you give of yourself. And you've given yourself much more valuable than moolah to be with us today. I appreciate it so much. And I'm so happy to have Sir Lawrence of Powell, Larry Powell.
Hey.
Yes, that same Powell of Powell to the people. That same guy, that hit show here on KXEX 1550.
Good news with Larry Powell.
Absolutely,
Boy,
man. Love your show. Love your show.
Hey,
and
it's great to be back.
Man, it's great. I missed you.
It's like withdrawals, you know.
Talk to me about it. Sitting there whistling, twiddling my thumbs last Wednesday, going whatever. Well, I wasn't here last Wednesday either. You didn't come. I said, I'm not coming.
Yeah, that's right.
Larry's not there. I got to sit back. I need my safe space.
Yep.
I need my cry room. They have it here. KXX got the own Bubba cry room back there.
That was going good, too.
When I miss somebody, I just go back there and just bawl like a baby. And then it gets better.
It does.
Hey, but some exciting news. But first of all, before we get into that, we got a lot to talk about the Georgia race last night, the ramifications of the Warnock victory over Herschel Walker, which I predicted, and Bullet Bob Leone did as well on yesterday's show. We'll get into reasons why. We wanted to be wrong more than anybody. We want to talk about the Trump verdict coming in with civil court. He's going to get hammered with a few $1 billion owed there. But today, Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah.
Number
7.
Let's put the number one where it should be, number one on this show. Was it 81 or 82 years ago? Let's say December 7th, 1941. It's December 7th, 2022.
81.
That would be 81 years ago. Franklin Roosevelt said it the best, a day that will live in infamy. It's hard to believe, Larry, for the younger generation, even our generation, the boomers.
Right.
Even though Pearl Harbor was not that far away from us when we were in grammar school. We were old enough to know things and remember things. When you think about it, I was born in 1952. You're around the same time. 1945's that war was not that distant in the rearview mirror.
Not at all.
So it was their reverberations. And we grew up with all the freedoms, all the great things that are available, the American dream available to us, freedom being preserved around the world. But I know we didn't know how close we came to losing that war. And certainly the millennials and the Generation Z have no idea. But dadgum, the price it was paid and how close. I mean, the Japanese on that day pretty much destroyed our Navy.
Yeah.
And
well, a few ships were able to escape, but by and large, we were absolutely devastated. The Navy had 2 or 3 ships left, and that was it. The whole Pacific fleet was in danger, and then all of those that got sunk in the harbor, crazy.
And that's why I really push the knowledge of history as being so important to ourselves, our children in particular, to know not only what happened, but the factors involved, and why I know people of opposing views politically can work together if the conditions are right and the stakes are high enough. And my goodness, they're high today's day and time. I mean, there's a fight to keep our traditional values that made this country great, that are really non-political, that are under attack. But back then, with this surprise attack, which really crippled our Navy, you had at that time Germany really on the move in Europe. They were kicking the Allies' butt over there, victory after victory with their blitzkriegs.
Yep.
And they had Western Europe in a state of shock. So you had Imperial Japan hitting us from one side, and this war raging in Europe. And you had a political climate where you had big business, the big employers of this country, Wall Street folks, did not like our president at that time. And the president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, quite frankly, did not like them. You know where the term fat cat came from? Many people believe it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt who coined that phrase. It may have been prior to that, but he used it a lot.
He did use it a lot.
To get elected.
Yes.
basically demonizing the big corporations, all the big the Rothschilds, all of those names that you heard that were dominant and did abuse the system. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But they were also the biggest employers. But what happened is when you have a Navy that's been destroyed, and you know you're going to have a Navy to have a chance to win this war, you know you got to build ships, and you got to build them fast. And Roosevelt knew there wasn't really a shipbuilding plant there in D.C.
No.
Or the government didn't really have, and he called on big business.
Yep.
And he says, "Can we meet? We need to meet now. I know I called you every name in the book, but we need you. We've got to rebuild, and we got to rebuild fast, and the only ones who can do it are you." Well, credit number one goes to Roosevelt. I'm not sure even if the stakes were as high today and we were at the specter of losing our democracy, Larry, if you would have the political climate where the Democrats would ask the Republicans, or the Republicans would ask the Democrats, saying, "Hey, we need to get together. We have to do this because we're going to die as a country if we don't." But I tip my hat to Roosevelt, who put out the call, and to the fat cats who came to the table and said, "You know what? We may disagree. We may have called each other names. This is a lot of wounds here, but there's one thing more important than that, than our disagreements with each other, our political differences, our downright hate towards each other.
Yeah.
And that's the preservation of this great country.
Survival.
And they began one of the greatest rebuilding projects of all time. They said it couldn't be done. My mother was a Rosie of the Riveter. She worked in the plant in Tulsa. They revved up those plants. They started building those ships, building those airplanes that were lost at a record pace. The world had never seen anything happen like that. And they're looking, going, the rest of the world's going, wait a minute. They hate each other. Republicans and Democrats hate each other. How are they doing this? How are they putting these differences aside and getting on there and building and then shipping them over and politically agreeing with each other on? And I think there's a great lesson in today that we need to hearken back to and learn from. We need to work together. We have to work together politically. What's your thought on that? That was a big preface, took a lot of time, but I was waiting for Guillermo to slide in here. And he's joined us.
I've been here the whole time.
Oh yes, you're you are very sharp. You're looking good too, by the way. I know you had a little cold, didn't you?
COVID will do that. COVID will make you lose 20
you got
pounds.
The Rona.
You can't eat. You can't taste.
He got the Rona there. But Larry, what do you think about what I said? And your own thoughts on December 7th here today?
Sure. I think the most amazing thing is that we came together very quickly from a divided country, but how fast after the war we actually got along with Japan. Americans, they don't hold grudges the same way that a lot of other countries do. And I think that's an amazing thing about America is that, we'll get together and work with you. And
and I think, do you think we learned that by being colonized by Great Britain? See, Great Britain was comers and stayers.
Yeah.
In crisis. We were comers and goers.
Yeah.
We didn't come and, help out a country, then occupy them. Great Britain, France, Spain, Germany, all the great empires before came, conquered, and stayed.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And I think that's a great point.
Yep.
And that's differentiates us as a world power. Would you want America and that ideology? Hey, when freedom's under attack, we'll be there for you.
Yep.
But we don't want to occupy and own your country. It's your country. Compare that to China.
Yeah.
Yep.
And let's face it, the number one superpower in the world right now. Let's stop even.
I don't know about
no
that.
absolute doubt.
No.
They've got killer satellites they have weaponized outer space way ahead of us. Thank goodness that they have Musk and some private sector folks, Branson over in England, that can put up the killer rockets when they need to. But China's so far ahead of us economically.
I wouldn't call them a superpower just because. I mean, they're really untested.
But first of all, let me get you as a millennial.
Sure.
What's your thoughts today, December 7th, 1940? As that gets deeper and deeper into history, people don't. This used to be big thing back when we were
Yeah.
your age. Still,
Yeah.
in our early mid-30s, December 7th, you had parades everywhere. You had talk shows talking about it. And I look up now, haven't seen anything on either one of them, Fox News or CNN. I'm sure they've said something, a passing reference to what this day meant, 81 years ago. What does it mean to you?
I think it's a huge problem. Well, to me, I mean, I don't think I'm your typical millennial. I have a conservative radio station.
Yeah,
so
right.
I don't know if I'm a barometer of millennials, but I know back in, when I was going to school, I think probably my generation was the last generation that really made something about American history and made us, remember American history. Unfortunately, these American tragedies and the story of us overcoming and these great American moments are lost with time. So it really doesn't have that impact anymore. And you're starting to see this even more with September 11th. So, I mean, here we're 81 years away from Pearl Harbor. And I hate to say it, but it's been diluted. It's been diluted. It's going to continue to be diluted. When I first heard 81.
Why do you think that is?
Are
people complacent with freedom?
It's far removed. It's so far removed.
We would be attacked, that thought that we would be attacked like that again. Do you think it's just so remote, such a fantasy? I mean, the millennials and Generation X, the thought of another country trying to take us on.
I don't have
Japan.
I don't have that thought, but I think the vast majority, hey, we're America. No one's going to touch us. We're so far away from everybody.
They can't think of an army marching into New York.
No,
a foreign army.
No, but 2001 changed that.
For a while.
But we forgot already.
Oh, absolutely. You notice all the American flags after 2001? Every car had an American flag flying.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get punished for having an American flag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you saw both parties singing "God Bless America" on the footsteps of the Capitol.
Yeah.
But then, like Guillermo says, it's gone. That's why I think it's so dangerous today's day and time, because liberty and freedom is being taken for granted.
Yeah.
That old adage that freedom isn't free, it's bought at an awful price. The blood and lives of people willing to defend freedom. And hopefully what Russia has done can wake some people up, that we can stop, playing Fortnite and watching 90-Day Fiancé enough.
Yeah.
To say, you know what, that old school tyranny is still out there. And of an army, because I watch some of these folks in the media, especially on the left, kind of when this first started, they were amazed. They were almost speechless. They called it old school invasion. In 2023, that stuff just doesn't happen.
It's so true.
But it does happen.
Now, Ukraine's having their Pearl Harbor right now.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And the old school invasion where you roll the tanks in and you try to take over a sovereign country.
Yeah.
And here's the dangerous thing. Word is coming out from reliable sources, if you have any trust in our intelligence agencies at all anymore, that 2027 is the target date that China, Xi Jinping, has picked to make the move on Taiwan. So this is a precursor to another old school invasion. And if we don't wake up, stop fighting amongst ourselves and prepare for this. Deal saying failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Well, we fail on coming together as a country. And I thought last night, segueing into the Georgia election last night, I don't care much for Warnock's policies. I think they're not good for America. They're not good for Georgia. I think Herschel Walker's policies, obviously not the polished speaker Warnock is, but Herschel Walker's concession speak should be a template for all politicians. And to Warnock's credit,
they both were good.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Larry, and I'll let you take it here. I mean, with a little bit more.
It was a return to what we used to do. But we also had faith in the old days that the election was true, that, we're going to work together even if we don't like the policies that you have. When we work together, good things happen.
And Walker said something, he just rambles on. No. Herschel Walker's a smart man. I get kind of offended when people, and I think it's a form of racism to say look at somebody who doesn't speak that well, who may grammatically not be correct, and that equate that with being non-intelligent. They were saying that about Lamar Jackson, the quarterback for the Ravens. And I knew right off the bat, just watching this young man, he was smart. but his speech was not, he was grammatically incorrect a lot. But on the standard test that he took for quarterbacks, he scored sky high. And he's a smart man. And Herschel Walker said something that people thought was maybe a slip. I said, no, there's no, because he said it 3 times. We've got to stay together, love America, and we have to respect, support our elected officials. Yeah. That's it, mate, because he was not an elected official.
No.
Yeah.
He just conceded. Yeah. He wasn't going to be one, and he was basically saying, okay, we got to support Warnock to be the best thing. Doesn't mean you become pro-choice or you support this open border junk. You hold them accountable, absolutely. But you stay in the same room and work together through problems. And
well, it's interesting. Warnock, as a pastor, is used to public speaking, and you can tell the difference with those who come from a pulpit ministry kind of thing. They're very good, and the whole job of a pastor is to connect. That's what you do. And when I was just in Washington, D.C. last week and had a chance to speak to a bunch of elected officials at a breakfast, and the response afterwards was, Larry, you captured us. Well, when I'm just talking to somebody, it's a little different, but when I'm speaking, you go into a certain mode, and I'm so glad you're here today, and I want to share with you, and all of a sudden they're going, where's this coming from? So the response was really absolutely amazing. But I want to say,
they were probably hungry for your message and didn't even know it.
They were.
Because you had a bunch of.
I want to share something I think is really important. One of the things about Pearl Harbor and other events like that, 2001, and all of that, is that we need to teach our kids to remember them, but we need to teach them to remember it without animus toward the perpetrator. Okay? And let me share what I mean by that. Don't hate the person who did it. Remember what the action was and be prepared so that kind of thing can't happen again. But history shows us that our enemy now is our friend, and things do change. So don't carry the animus with the event like a lot of people like to do. Dislike the event, prepare so you don't have it happen again, but don't hate the perpetrator.
Well, taking that statement and that thought further to Guillermo, that's why I am so cautious about making a broad swath statement about a group of people, because I've been grouped in into certain traits that people have a predetermined idea of who I am based on my demographic. From the South, white, poor. They look at the outside conditions and assume that you're a certain way. And politics can really do that. For example, I mentioned China. I got to start walking my own talk by taking the time to say, that's what the Chinese Communist Party wants to do. Most of the people in China just want to make a living, take care of their kids, and live a good life. And they want freedom. You see the riots going on right now. They don't want to be locked up.
Yeah.
Most of them are just like us. Mm-hmm. They want the same things.
Sure.
There's that common. Most of the people probably in Germany, you had a lot of them that were brainwashed, but a lot of them weren't. You didn't want Hitler. But you had a military power, an elite, a powerful elite, take political power. And when you take political power, people can be intimidated. You look at Iran. Going on right now, a lot of people, I've heard it, those Iranians. No, make sure you narrow that down and say that Iranian theocracy, the people that are in charge there.
Yeah, the leadership.
Are whatever, demons, whatever you want to do. And you may or may not be right in that assessment, but don't lump a bunch of people in it. I think, we look back and it's a terrible thing to have to drop a nuclear bomb. Could there be another way to have done that in Japan? So I tell you, I know that a lot of the Japanese people looked at the emperor as God. They did their best to brainwash people. But history has shown us, because we got in there to interact with them, and you had so many Japanese people that did not want life under Hirohito, the Japanese emperor. They were glad to be freed. They were thankful to be freed. And also they said, they were smart going, we crippled their navy. we should have kicked the America's butts. And they came back, whipped our butt big time. I want that system. And they did a great job of, what is it? Well, it's called free market systems and freedoms, unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit of your people, not being a robot directed from a monolith of politics. So the free market system came in, and they proceeded to become an economic power in a very startling length of time, very short length of time.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's I just, and you look at the woke left, the problem I have with them, American history, this and that. Yeah, their agenda is so obvious. Yeah, we want to take down that statue. We want to wipe out the history of that statue, of the conditions when that statue was put up in any discussion. We want to wipe that out. We just only want in history the day it was taken down. Let that stay in history. But that's where the history ends.
Yeah.
We celebrate taking down Robert E. Lee statue in Virginia when we tore it down and spray painted it. That's a part of the history that our kids need to know. Not prior to that. Not the agony that Lee went through of whether he was going to pick his state or his country.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the most respected people in Congress, both sides of the aisle. And he had to agonize over that. He made the wrong decision. And as long as you're going to honor men and women, you're honoring flawed people. If you're going to build a statue or a sculpture and put it someplace and go, this person is great, you're going to honor flawed people.
That's true.
You know, you have that statue they're getting ready to put with LeBron James in L.A. before you go into the arena. Yeah, that's a LeBron James that set the scoring record, the biggest score in NBA history. It's also the one that tweeted out a picture and called a cop who was trying to save a little girl's life, African-American girl's life, and basically tried to get him killed by saying, you're next. So do I say take the statue down? No, he's flawed. And you take the balance sheet. You know, people have to, you don't have this kind of dialogue when you separate. And let me ask you this before we go to break. Do you think, I think I know what Guillermo's going to say, and you may be right. There. When we come back, I want to get your gut feeling. Because sometimes gut feelings are more accurate than all the facts you can gather, all the things you can see in front of you. Sometimes that gut feeling can be more true and more real. My question is, could we be in the very beginning stages, the embryonic stages, of coming out of a post-partisan world and into a world where there's more cooperation between political parties? This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back. Just a little food for thought.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Never, unfortunately.
Hey, Bill Gaither's
I
coming.
may agree with you. I don't know.
Bill Gaither's coming to People's Church.
Is he
For
really?
a concert, March 16th. Yeah, bringing
Bill Gaither's is still
the
bringing
Gaither
it.
Vocal Band. I don't know
I
if you
have
don't know
got
him,
to
but
be
he
there.
is.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
They
he's gospel.
Old time gospel though. Stuff
Yeah.
that you don't hear much.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take him.
So he's
You and your
coming.
wife, you got it. You're going with us. You're gonna love it.
Now, when is it?
March 16th.
Oh, I got time.
Plenty of time to put it
Yep.
on the calendar.
Yep. But really good.
Not gonna invite Kanye?
Yeah.
No, we're not.
I think I'm scared myself because I think I got Kanye figured out.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I think
I don't think Kanye has
I
Kanye
think
figured out.
Kanye is. I think he is bored with being rich and being listened to. Everybody, being the. I think he just wants to just destroy everything. All his fame, just go to it. And I think he's willing to say what some people would say that they're afraid to say is Hitler was the devil. Hitler was horrible. Did he do anything good for people? And if you want to be politically correct, you say, absolutely not. He did nothing of compassion. He hated his kids, his grandkids. He tortured his grandkids in the demon. He didn't go up and pat them and hug them. He went and put a knife to their throat and said, you refer to me not as grandpa, but as Sieg Heil. That's what you do. There's people that anything other than that. And Kanye says, I'm just going to take it. I know I'm going to be completely destroyed.
1 minute.
And he just went there going, let's examine the softer side of Hitler. Cancel.
Yeah, when you have Alex Jones helping you out.
Oh boy. Well, no, when you get too far right than Alex. You see Alex try to get him. Alex Jones trying to go, well, you believe Nazism is bad. And he goes, well, no, it's not so bad. And Alex Jones is going, well, I know the Nazis are bad, and what you're trying to say there is that they really are bad, but you're trying. He says, no, I don't think they're all bad. You can see Alex Jones going,
you made Alex Jones squirm.
What am I going to do with this?
I just have a statement. You have to think before you speak, and unfortunately Kanye doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, Larry, I know what you're thinking. I think he thinks, but he goes a place that we do not know. He goes to a place where he thinks.
3 seconds?
He's way out there, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You're listening to the
tune it up a little bit, Jeremy.
On the best talk in town.
Oh,
Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Nothing like a little CCR.
559-899-1550.
Come on, Lebo. Oh, man, I love that song. Goosebumps the size of golf balls going up my back. All right. Could we? Last night, you had two candidates giving a concession speech like the old days. He did it with, you ready for this word that seems to have been removed from the lexicon of the American language? Dignity. Another word, respect. And then a phrase, love of America, was on display when Herschel Walker conceded. No firebums, no election rigged, no nothing. They lost fair and square. You got to stay together in defeats like this. And we won. It's the best experience of my life. It was better than getting the Heisman Trophy. All the victories I've had running for senator and not getting it, defeating, was the best experience of my life. Man, if that don't get your fire burning your woods wet. Then you had Warnock, who was a little bit more self-applauding of himself, and did go into the fact that, even though two black men were running against each other and you had a record turnout, there was still voter suppression. Mm-hmm. Don't take any comfort that I won. There's still massive voter suppression in Georgia. He was quick to remind all of his woke far left who will go to their grave thinking that. You could have no lines, anything goes. You don't check any signature, required no identification. Just vote as many times as you want to, and there would still be voter suppression. But the question was, but outside of that, as Larry pointed out, I think Warnock was very inspiring. I still, to this day, and I'm not passing judgment on his faith, I'm sure his love for Jesus is great. I can't wrap my mind around a pastor supporting abortion at any stage, on demand, even a survivor of an abortion, that you have the right to go ahead and kill that child because it was against the wishes of the mother for the child to be born, and that's where he stands on this. Just hard for me to understand that. But the question is, could this man last night, the beginning, maybe just a little small step towards a more of a post-partisan world in terms of politics?
No.
Okay. That's
Never,
what I figured.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Politics has gone into that realm of the point of no return. And maybe politics was actually never really even there when you really think about it, of working together. And I know you can say, back in the old days, they reached across the aisles. But unfortunately, with the amount of vitriol on both sides, with the amount of factions in each of the party, politics is just it's a really bad realm. Good people go to D.C. and they lose anything good that they ever have. And I have stories that people tell me that, this congressman went over there and such a great man, came back, cheated on his wife. And it's just horrible, the stories that you hear. So politics is an ugly sport. It's a game. This isn't, we're not in church. It's not a nonprofit organization. Government is a beast. It's a huge bureaucracy. I'm not sure we'll ever get back to the times when, we reached across the aisle for a common purpose, unless it's some sort of, and today we're celebrating the 81st year of Pearl Harbor. I mean, it's unfortunate that it looks like the only time we come together is when we have American tragedy, which shouldn't be the case. But listen, speeches are written by other people. Someone wrote his speech, Walker's speech. Someone wrote Herschel's speech. It's all fluff. What people say anymore doesn't give me any type of hope anymore. It's what people do in their actions. And Raphael Warnock's going to go right into the Senate. He's not going to reach across and say, Mitch McConnell, I'm a changed man because of that special election. I actually want to hear you out. No, he's going to meet with Mitch McConnell and say, listen, we got to codify Roe v. Wade. We got to do this. We got to do that. At the end of the game, we just have to realize what we have in front of us. Now, the Herschel Walker, the entire race, because everybody is playing Monday morning quarterbacking. Everyone's blaming Herschel Walker. He was a bad candidate, horrible candidate. I actually thought he was a great candidate. Black, plays America's greatest pastime. You have name ID. I mean, who else would you get? I mean, think about this. In any state, when you have a living legend who was a Heisman winner, what are you talking about? Candidate quality? This is the best guy. And what really frustrates me is all this guy's dumb. He doesn't know. In the same election cycle, they elected Oz. And I'm not saying Oz is dumb, but he can't articulate anything. So it just, and I'm the type of guy, I don't mind electing as president of the United States someone that never went to college, never went to an Ivy League school, maybe got out of high school and worked all their life out in the, out on the farm. Mm-hmm. They probably have more common sense than those with degrees. So when they say, oh, the guy wasn't a candidate quality, the guy was dumb. I mean, have you seen some of the people that are in Congress? And I'm not saying that they're all bad, but I get it. Herschel, I thought, was a great candidate. It saddens my heart because it's yet another example of a party a Republican Party that still hasn't figured it out. And until we figure it out, we're going to keep losing. It doesn't matter. Apparently, it doesn't matter how bad America is, because all that matters is that you go out and you show up for your party every election time, irrespective of what you have going on. So it saddens my heart that people think that the only thing they got to do is vote party lines. It's their God now. The Democrat Party, the Republican Party for the right too, that is their God. Political parties now are religion, and they're worshiping at the altar of the DNC and the RNC, and it just breaks my heart.
Well, think about this. He closed the gap, though, even with that.
You got the noose, so I can just hang myself here. Just hang it over there. I might as well just.
Am I that bad? Because my mom always says, but say something nice.
You say.
Yeah, you look good today.
Now and then.
Yeah, so do you, Larry.
Warnick won.
You politician, you.
Warnick led by 37,000 in the election, only 25,000 this time. So it actually closed the gap. But what it shows more than anything else is the divided nature of the nation. I've said this time and time again, and I'll never stop saying it. America likes the middle, And,
my take on it is all of these ads, these hundreds of millions, billions of dollars that are spent on that. I agree with what you're saying. You have a slice of each party, bigger slice than I think has been there ever, that are diehard political people, Democrat or Republican. They would vote for any Democrat, regardless of how awful.
Put a rock
and
put a D by their name.
Right, same thing with ours. There's that segment.
Yeah.
Will not vote for a Democrat, and a Democrat would not vote for a Republican.
That's a good-looking rock.
There's nothing that you could say. There's no fact. There's no amount of information, nothing that you could show them so egregious in terms of what's happening to society, from crime being out of control, open borders, nothing that you could show them that would make them vote for a conservative agenda. Same thing on the conservative side. You could show them some good things that government has done in terms of being involved in health, Medicare, Social Security, some things that both parties now agree on, that there was some controversy when those were instituted by Roosevelt. Would not vote for a Democrat under any circumstance. So you begs the question: who are they aiming at all of these attack ads, knowing they can demonize Herschel Walker's team, knowing they can demonize Warnock all they want to, they're not going to change a Democrat over to vote for Walker. Warnock demonizing Walker about abandoning his kids and funding abortions and being pro-life and all that is not going to get any Republican crossover. I happen to believe that all of those ads are aimed at Larry calls the middle, the independents like me, that said, listen, you parties, neither one of you own me. See, I was part of the Republican Party, and then all they want is your money. Here's the agenda. Go away and shut up and send your check.
Yeah.
Democrat, same way. We know what's best for you. Send your money. We can count for you to show up. So it's like to galvanize the base to show up. Okay, even that is going to be minimal to galvanize your base. I don't really think I've ever seen an ad where I thought somebody who's not motivated to vote, that ad's going to make them come up and vote. They're aimed at independents that are saying to themselves, what candidate is best for this country? Is it Herschel Walker or Raphael Warnock? I want to listen to them. And you know what they never see? They got to struggle to even have a debate where we can all look at them and see them face to face so the independents can make up their mind. So I hold out hope that as we go along, more and more people will get fed up with this poisonous political atmosphere, become independent, and say, look, you're going to have to work a little harder for my vote. You're going to have to tell me the power of why. Vote for this candidate. Well, why? Well, wait a minute, I'm going to tell you why. Because he's a Republican or he's a Democrat. Be a good Democrat and vote for that. Be a good Republican. And then they've tried to fear, if you don't do that and you speak and you have some questions, we're going to cancel you. You're no longer your persona non grata in the party if you ask the tough questions of the candidate. Now, that did not used to be that way, Guillermo. You made a statement saying maybe it's always been that way. Larry, and I'll tell you, it has not. We grew up in an era where both parties would ask one question of their candidate, and it was the same question, and it was very important to the voters of both parties. They said, can you reach across the aisle? Can you work with the other party? Ronald Reagan, can you work with the Democrats? And McGov, who was the guy that Jimmy Carter, can you work with Republicans? That was asked, and you better have a good answer. You could say, listen, I'm deeply steeped in democratic principles. I believe in helping hand on hand. I believe that we should have a government presence there to make sure the playing field is level, that the referees out there, that there's equal hiring practices, and that's where government belongs in there, and I'm willing to fight for that. But as Clinton says, you sent me a message, America. The era of big government's over. He got the message. They spoke. And he didn't say, well, I'm going to go down with the ship like Biden and probably like Trump. He said, people have spoken. They want us to work together.
But now, but after the midterms and because of this, I think, unfortunately, nothing's really going to happen because now the left says, we told you all along we're doing fine. And it really, Biden didn't have to get a message like Clinton got in his midterm.
Well, here you're right. And they think these narrow victories are a mandate.
Yeah.
They really do. And they process it in their mind that means full steam ahead. And that's going to be to their demise. And I think I'm going to make a prediction here. I believe that things are going to get worse economically. The war in Ukraine, Putin said today, get ready for a long war. Drones from Ukraine has hit inside Russia. So that's a game changer. As I said on this show, you watch the escalation. World War III is absolutely a possibility. Will World War III rage a while before nukes are used? Yes. But World War III is on. We're fighting a proxy war right now, United States of America and Western Europe, against Russia, China, and Iran, and North Korea. That's the big four. Okay? So this, I believe we're at a place in history where those threats to the American way of life, the supply chains are going to continue to be difficult. The war is going to get more and more heavy, and I think people are going to start saying, look, you all need to work together to figure this thing out. I have no use for these personal bombs being thrown over from Ted Cruz or Chuck Schumer. All you guys are doing is bomb throwing. I think the people are going to demand that government work better for them. That's going to require the bipartisanship to be able to reach across the aisle and work with.
What happens is our disdain and dislike of election results lasts about 3 minutes. And then we go back to, is my pothole fixed? What's happening with gas taxes? Americans don't live on a national level anymore. They live on a very local level. And that's where I think we have a chance to get America back to where it needs to be, is by electing great people in school boards, all the local elections. The national elections, I think, are a lost cause in a lot of ways. But local elections still are where it can be done.
Yeah, all politics is local.
It is.
But unfortunately, the national scene now is bleeding all the way down to the local. So what should have been about potholes is about flag raising.
Non-partisans have to be partisan now.
Well, that you can talk about those side issues and make them a huge issue about bathrooms, gender-neutral bathrooms, and all this other stuff. As long as you have a job, a stimulus check, and don't have to order your stuff at home, don't have to get out. You're basically taken care of. Yeah, in terms of the necessities, the government's going to take care of you. But that can only last so long. And then when that hits home, then people tend to change. But I think what you're talking about, Larry, is the long-term fix. You got to bring common sense back into the system, school boards, city councils, that sort of thing. But there's going to be a wake-up, big wake-up. The need, the necessity for bipartisanship is going to come upon us quickly, like of a snake that's been circling around, getting ready to strike, then does strike. And I think the war in Ukraine is that inevitable snake getting ready to bite us big time. The supply chain issues are going to continue. The border letting millions of people in that we don't know where they are is going to continue. The crime is going to continue unabated. And that's not sustainable in a civil society. And when you'd think that the wake-up call would happen to everyone when the husband of the Speaker of the House is hit between the eyes with a hammer by a criminal who was here illegally at the border. You would think people that were thinking, I wasn't for a secure border. I wasn't for investing in mental health I was about getting rid of the Second Amendment. But if they can't find a gun, they're going to need a hammer. Do I want to be shot to death or hammered to death? Mental illness, violent mental illness goes after, they're going to find something to hurt you with.
Yeah.
And you would think that people would say, okay, you might have a little something with that Second Amendment. Paul Pelosi would have had a gun there. He may not have had his head dented in, almost dead. But it didn't. But I think it's part of the story. I think we're getting there, and we're going to get there quick because there's so much to lose. And as Thomas Sowell said, and you said it earlier, sadly, tragically, in a free society, there is a point of no return. Ronald Reagan said it best. It's very, very hard to create a functional democracy. It takes a long, long time, and it can be lost overnight. And I believe we're at that. And I think there's enough independence. And you're right, Guillermo. Far left and the far right. I'm going to say it right now. I love y'all. I hope you go. I just hope to see you in heaven. But you're freaking out of your mind. You're crazy. You're bat doo-doo crazy. Okay? Antifa, Oath Keepers, I love you, but you're insane. Okay? I'll break bread with both of you. I'll show you another way to look at things. I will give you my way. And I'm going to be so presumptuous to say that my way is better than yours? The quick answer is yes. Try a little understanding. You know the old Beatles song, All You Need Is Love? Well, you need love. It starts with that. Because if you don't have that, you can't get the rest of the stuff. A good country that respects everyone. And I'm not talking down to Oath Keepers and Antifa. You were made a certain way because of your anger. And you both say you love this country. So I'll start believing that. But you have veered off into cuckoo land. And your cuckoo land antics are getting people killed and are dividing this country to possibly a point of no return. Now, if you get your jollies off on that, if you are so self-centered that you like that, your vision of America is to have a continually sustainable, divided country that never comes back together again, one country black, one country white, or let's divvy it up. Let's go 4 ways. One black, one white, a quarter white, quarter black, quarter Hispanic, quarter Asian. Oh, how about the Native Americans? Oh, they got theirs. They call the reservation. So we all go on to reservations? Ask the Indians how they feel about that. Oh, you got a casino, be happy. It's this serious, folks. People have to stand up and be willing to be canceled. I'm up for a TV show. I already did, it's called Tulsa King. They're thinking about bringing my character back. Well, I'm not trying to play like I'm some brave dude. I'm not. I just love this country. I love God. I love America because it gave me a chance, this old boy, to go literally from a field to his destiny was to die on a tractor with emphysema, to being able to achieve 15 dreams. I love this country. I want the same dreams for you and your kids, Oath Keepers, Antifa. And you got to be willing, folks, everybody up there, to lose something. We're in that era. You got to lay it on the line. You got to put it out there on the table. I probably won't get that part because they're watching everything I do, the casting. They listen to every show. They Google you. They find something that's out of line a little bit. It's not worth the trouble on our show. Sly Stallone. Sly doesn't need this. Sly Stallone's a great guy, by the way. Had a great time on my guest starring spot. But I had to make a decision because I feel this from the bottom of my heart. Stay quiet, shut up. At 70 years old, go out with my tail between my legs and watch my kids and grandkids inherit this world and say nothing so I can be on that show and make a comeback. Or I can say what I'm saying right now. I guess it's obvious what I've chosen. But we have to find some way to come together, work together, figure out this thing over in Ukraine, figure out this border situation, have a secure border, but as Trump said, a big open door to let people who want to come and help rebuild this country into this beacon of freedom that we once were. We've got economic problems that are getting ready to overwhelm us and drown us all if we don't come together, work together, stay together when the going gets tough, and do our best to make decisions that benefit us all. Republican, Democrat, pro-life, pro-choice, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. Old, young. We may come from different lives, ways of life. As they said, the immigrants said, we came over on different boats, but we're in the same boat now. The boat's called America. Do we want that boat to be able to continue to sail? Or are we going to do things to just tear it up and watch it sink? Okay, that's just where I stand on this. And Guillermo, Larry, we got about 3.5 minutes here. Final thoughts. We got so much we didn't get through today, but I think it's all started with Pearl Harbor. If we remember that, the things we're talking about today will matter a little bit more.
You know, one of the things that needs to happen is we need to have moral and immoral behavior defined and consequences for immoral behavior. We no longer have consequences for immoral behavior. A simple example, Amy Robach, who is from Good Morning America, has an affair with one of her coworkers for a sustained period of time, both of them married, not to each other. And how do we respond to that? Oh, okay, no big deal. We are breaking down the family
time and time again on national television. In every show that you watch, there's immoral behaviors that are lauded. You cannot have a strong America without a strong family. It's really simple. And as long as we continue to have these images that our kids in elementary school, middle school, and high school see on a regular basis, that the family can be funny and not straight, I mean, as long as we continue to do that and give them that sense, America cannot be strong again. It's really simple. It's not a hard thing, but we have to have consequences for immoral behavior. We don't have them now.
Guillermo, I'm going to let you take us to Roy and Dale.
Hey,
just thoughts.
Just pray. Just pray. Have dinner with your family every night. Talk to your kids.
Yep. Yeah.
Key to success, I think.
Yeah. And there's a way to do that. You don't have to sit there and lecture. I mean, there's a lot of interesting ways.
Just listen.
Even about your subject you just made. It's a heavy subject.
Yeah.
But there's ways, if you want, just give it a little thought. Give it the priority it deserves. And what priority is that? To educate your kids, to plant the seeds, not create robots. My son differs from me politically on a lot of things, but he called me the other night just to thank me for planting the seeds of character, being a good person, how important that is, to trust God. That those seeds were something he will never give up. And he kind of gave me credit. And I'd been frustrated with him because politically he doesn't side with everything on mine, but I got to sit back and go, wait, what's more important right now in his life? Did he agree with me politically or he loved God? Was I able to help that God used me to put that love of God in his soul, which he just told me he relies on every day?
Amen.
Well, that's where it starts. Because when we start with the love of God, then what Larry says will be important. The family unit to be protected, that you say, hey, if I cross this line here, there is going to be not a moral police, but just things of saying, hey, we agree on this thing's right. You don't cheat on your wife and be applauded for it.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
All right, folks, thank you for tuning in on Big Wednesday. God bless you. God bless America. And just remember, do your best and let God do the rest. And I promise it may not turn out at the moment the way you want it, but it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to be. And you're going to like that even better. Love y'all. Bye-bye now.
Till then, who cares about the clouds?